I left my daughter with my parents and sister for just one day because of an urgent work matter. When she came back, she didn't say a single word. I asked what was wrong, but tears just rolled down her cheeks. Then I noticed a small blood stain on the inside of her clothes. I rushed her to the hospital, and the doctor's words left me breathless. Marketing consultant Emily Carter took her cell phone out of her bag. Inside, the screen showed 3 missed calls and an urgent email from a client. Tomorrow's meeting has been moved up. Please review the important materials tonight. She looked at her watch 4:00 in the afternoon. Only an hour left until she needed to pick up Lily from after-school care. Normally, she would contact her trusted babysitter, Sarah, but Sarah had gone back to her hometown this week because of her mother's surgery. What a predicament. Emily scrolled through the numbers of other sitters, but no one was available on such short notice. As a last resort, she called her mother. Margaret's sharp voice resonated on the other end of the phone. What is it, Emily? How unusual to hear from you in the middle of a weekday. It's an emergency. A big presentation for tomorrow has been moved up to tonight. Could you watch Lily overnight? After a moment of silence, Margaret made a sound like a snort. Being a career woman is difficult, isn't it? In my day, we never would have considered leaving children behind for work. Emily closed her eyes and suppressed the urge to argue. Since her divorce 3 years ago, her mother's sarcasm had only increased. Please, Mom, I don't have anyone else to ask. Yes, of course I'll take her. Actually, Rachel and her children are coming over today too. Lily will enjoy playing with her cousins. Anxiety spread through Emily's chest. Her relationship with her sister Rachel was complicated. From childhood, Rachel had always been jealous of Emily's possessions and successes, especially after the divorce. Rachel's hostility toward Emily for being a successful single mother was impossible to hide. Rachel too, I see, Emily replied, choosing her words carefully. Her children, Ethan and Grace as well? Yes, we're planning a lovely dinner together. Margaret's voice contained delight. Emily knew how much her mother enjoyed the opportunity to emphasize Emily's defects as a divorcee in front of Rachel's perfect family. All right, I'll bring Lily by 6:00. After hanging up, Emily took a deep breath. Going to her parents' house was a psychological burden, especially when her sister was there. Mom, why am I staying at Grandma's house tonight? Lily questioned from the back seat of the car. Curiosity shone in the 8-year-old girl's large brown eyes. Because Mommy has unexpected work and will be late. I'll pick you up in the morning. Emily smiled through the rearview mirror. You don't mind, do you? Lily pursed her lips thoughtfully. Grandpa is nice, but Grandma always wants to fix my clothes. She says leggings aren't proper. Emily couldn't help but laugh. Lily had perfectly mimicked her grandmother's old-fashioned values. Yes, Grandma has somewhat outdated ideas. And if Cousin Ethan is coming? Lily's voice grew quieter. Emily immediately became alert. Is something wrong with Ethan? Not really. Lily gazed out the window, but he always makes fun of me. Last month, he pulled my hair at the birthday party too. Did he really? Emily frowned. Next time something happens, tell Grandpa or me right away. Understand? Lily nodded, but her expression remained clouded. When they arrived at her parents' house, the front door opened, and Rachel greeted them with perfect hair and a smile. Finally, you're here. Lily, your cousins are waiting for you. Lily nervously let go of her mother's hand and went inside. When Emily tried to hand over the bags, Rachel drew back slightly, as if creating an invisible wall. You seem to be struggling, Emily. Rachel's voice contained fake sympathy. Balancing career and parenting. I could never imagine leaving my children behind. I believe a mother's presence is irreplaceable. Emily ignored this intentional barb. Thank you. Please look after Lily. I'll pick her up tomorrow. Margaret's voice called from inside the house. Emily, aren't you coming in? At least have some tea before you go. Sorry, Mum. I don't have time, Emily answered from the doorstep. Give my regards to Dad. On her way back to the car, Emily turned around and spotted Lily's small silhouette standing by the second-floor window. She waved and smiled reassuringly. As the meeting room door closed, Emily exhaled deeply. The presentation had been a success. The creative director patted her shoulder lightly and said, "That was excellent, Emily. This campaign will move the company forward significantly." She smiled and expressed her thanks, but in her mind, she was already thinking about Lily. Looking at her watch, it was 11:15 in the morning. Relieved that it had ended earlier than expected, she immediately began gathering her things. "You seem to be in a hurry," her colleague Laura remarked with a smile. "Yes, I need to pick up my daughter," Emily replied, while stuffing documents into her bag. "I left her at my parents' house last night." "With your mother?" Laura gave her a meaningful look. She knew about Emily's complicated relationship with her mother. "Was everything all right?" "I don't know yet," Emily answered honestly. "I'm on my way to pick her up now." As she left the office, the spring sunshine wrapped her in warmth. With the joy of success and the relief of seeing her daughter soon, her heart felt lighter. Getting into her car and heading toward her parents' house, she began planning to take Lily to the park, trying to make up for having to be apart for the night because of work. When she parked in front of her parents' large white house in the distinguished Beacon Hill neighborhood, a strange uneasiness passed through Emily's chest. Normally, at this time, her father James would be tending to plants in the garden, but the garden was silent. When she rang the doorbell, after a slight pause, her mother Margaret appeared. Emily noticed that her usually perfectly arranged hair was slightly disheveled. "Oh, Emily, it would have been nice if you'd let us know you were coming so early." Margaret's voice had a slight tension to it. The presentation ended earlier than planned. Emily passed by her mother and entered the house. "Where's Lily?" "She's resting in the upstairs guest room," Margaret answered with slight hesitation. "She seems a bit tired." "Tired?" Emily frowned. "What time did she go to bed last night?" "The usual time," Margaret answered rather quickly. "It's just that the children were playing until late." Emily's father James appeared from the living room. His usually mild face had an expression that Emily couldn't read. "Emily, you're here," he said quietly. "The presentation went well, I gather?" "Yes, Dad," Emily answered briefly and headed toward the stairs. "I'm going to see Lily." As she climbed the stairs, she sensed something off about her parents' behavior. They seemed to have something they wanted to say but didn't. When she knocked on the guest room door, there was no answer. She opened it gently and found Lily sitting on the bed, gazing out the window. "Lily, Mommy's here to pick you up." The girl turned around slowly, but she didn't come running with her usual smile. In her large brown eyes, there was something Emily had never seen before. "What's wrong, honey?" Emily approached her daughter and placed a hand on her shoulder. "Did you have fun with Grandma and everyone?" Lily remained silent, her lips trembling slightly. "Did you play with Aunt Rachel and your cousins?" Emily asked gently, but felt her daughter's body stiffen. "I want to go home," Lily finally said in a small voice. Feeling concerned about her daughter's demeanor, Emily began packing her things. Of course. Let's go home right now." Before they left the room, Margaret was waiting for them outside the door. "Leaving already?" "I prepared lunch." "Thanks, Mum, but we're going home," Emily said firmly. "Lily seems tired too." "I see." Margaret looked at her granddaughter and reached out to touch her cheek, but Lily shied away, hiding behind her mother. A flash of surprise appeared in Margaret's eyes. "Lily, aren't you going to say goodbye to Grandma?" The girl remained silent, staring at the floor. "Lily," Emily gently prompted, "say goodbye to Grandma and Grandpa." "Goodbye," Lily said faintly, but didn't look up. James saw them off at the bottom of the stairs. "Take care on your way back." His voice had an unusual softness to it, and in his eyes, as he looked at his granddaughter, there was something like guilt. As they got into the car and left her parents' house, Emily looked at Lily in the rearview mirror. The girl was silently gazing out the window. "Are you really okay? Did something happen?" Emily asked calmly. There was no answer. "Lily, I can't understand if you don't talk to me." Emily's voice grew more concerned. "Did something happen with your cousins?" Tears welled up in the girl's eyes and quietly slid down her cheeks. However, she still remained silent. When they got home, Lily immediately tried to go to her room, but Emily gently stopped her. "Honey, let's change your clothes. Then can we talk a little?" Lily didn't resist and let her mother lead her to the living room. Emily began to undress her. Though normally Lily could do this herself, today she was expressionless, like a doll, and wouldn't move on her own. While unbuttoning her blouse, Emily suddenly felt something strange. There were several small brown stains on the lining of the clothes. Looking closer, they appeared to be dried blood. "What's this?" Emily gasped, slowly lifting the clothing. There were definitely small traces of blood. "Lily, what happened to this? Did someone hurt you?" Panic raced through her body, and her voice trembled. "What happened? Tell me, please." Large tears flowed again from Lily's eyes. She just shook her head and wouldn't speak. Anger and fear swirled in Emily's chest. She stood up and took her cell phone. While dialing her mother's number, her voice was cold and determined. "Mum, there's blood on Lily's clothes." "What happened? Tell me honestly." There was a moment of silence on the other end, and then Margaret's disturbed voice came through. You're being dramatic. She probably just fell. Children fall all the time, don't they?" "Fell?" Emily's voice rose. "Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't anyone tell me?" "Because," Margaret's voice faltered, "I didn't think it was anything serious." Emily looked at Lily. Her face showed unspeakable fear and sadness. Maternal instinct told her this was not just a fall. "We'll talk later," Emily said coldly and hung up. She knelt before Lily and gently took her hands. "Honey, it's Mommy's job to protect you. Let's go to the hospital now. It'll be all right. I'll be with you." The fear in Lily's eyes intensified, but she gave a slight nod. Emily hugged her daughter and rubbed her back, inwardly vowing to uncover the truth and hold whoever hurt her daughter accountable. She grabbed her car keys and cradled Lily, wrapping her in a jacket. With her heart nearly bursting with worry and anger, Emily gripped the steering wheel tightly. At the reception desk of Street, Mary's Pediatric Emergency Center, sat a middle-aged woman who immediately composed herself upon seeing them. "What brings you in today?" "My daughter," Emily faltered. She didn't know how to explain. "There's blood on her clothes, and she won't talk about it. She stayed with my parents and sister yesterday." The receptionist nodded understandingly and handed her some forms. "Please fill these out. We'll see her right away." The waiting room was nearly empty. Emily sat with Lily on her lap, filling out forms while occasionally glancing at her daughter's face. Lily remained expressionless, clutching a teddy bear in both arms, an emergency comfort toy. Emily always kept in the car. "Miss Carter?" A nurse called their name. "This way, please." They were led to a small examination room. The walls were decorated with brightly colored animal pictures, designed to make children less afraid. However, even this gentle atmosphere couldn't break Lily's silence. After the nurse completed basic tests, she said, "The doctor will be with you shortly," and left the room. Emily sat next to Lily and held her hand. "It's going to be okay, honey. No matter what, Mommy is on your side." There was a knock on the door, and a doctor entered. Her name tag read Dr. Elizabeth Hayes. "Hello, Miss Carter, Doctor," Hayes said in a calm voice. "And this must be Lily." She squatted in front of Lily, speaking at the child's eye level. "Hello, Lily. What brings you in today?" Lily remained silent, unwilling to look at the doctor's face. "Doctor." Hayes looked up at Emily, raising her eyebrows questioningly. "I left my daughter overnight with my parents and sister," Emily began explaining. "When I picked her up this morning, she was withdrawn." She lowered her voice so Lily couldn't hear. "There were bloodstains on the lining of her clothes, and she won't talk about what happened." The doctor nodded with a serious expression. "Lily, would it be all right if I talk with your mother for a moment? There are some nice toys in the waiting room. Nurse Sarah will stay with you." Lily looked at Emily, her eyes mixed with fear and pleading. Emily gently touched her daughter's cheek. "It's okay. I'll be right there." After the nurse took Lily out of the room, Dr. Hayes sat across from Emily. Her expression maintained professional calm, while still showing warmth. "Have you noticed anything else? Any changes in your daughter's behavior, or signs that she's in pain anywhere?" Emily shook her head. "No, nothing until I picked her up this morning. My parents seemed a bit off. Mother said she was just tired, but Father seemed like he wanted to say something." "I understand," the doctor said while taking notes. "I'll examine your daughter, but before that, I have a few questions for you. How is your relationship with your family?" "It's complicated," Emily answered honestly. "I divorced 3 years ago, and my mother is critical of my career choices and parenting. With my sister Rachel, we've been competitive since childhood, and she's jealous of me. Yesterday, she and her 2 children were at my parents' house as well." The doctor looked up, meeting Emily's eyes directly. "How is your daughter's relationship with her cousins?" "Not good," Emily exhaled. "Especially my sister's son, Ethan. I heard he pulled Lily's hair before." The doctor considered this for a few seconds, then said, "Let's examine Lily," and stood up. The time in the waiting room seemed eternal. Emily repeatedly glanced at the clock, fidgeting restlessly. An hour later, Dr. Hayes returned. Her expression was severe, her mouth set firmly. "Let's talk in my office." The doctor's office was small, but warm. Children's drawings decorated the walls, and family photos sat on the desk. But now, the air in the room was heavy and tense. "Where's Lily?" Emily asked anxiously. "She's in the playroom with a nurse." "Doctor." Hayes sat down and took a deep breath. "Miss Carter, your daughter shows signs of physical abuse." Those words delivered a dull shock to Emily's chest. "What?" "There are multiple bruises on her arms and back. The blood on her clothes comes from a small cut on her back. This wound doesn't appear to be accidental, but looks as if it was deliberately inflicted with something sharp." The color drained from Emily's face. In her mind, anger, fear, and guilt swirled. "Are you saying my family hurt her?" "Legally, I'm obligated to report this to Child Protective Services, but first I want to understand the situation." Dr. Hayes was choosing her words carefully. "Lily has spoken a little. It took a lot of courage for her." Emily covered her face with trembling hands. "What happened?" "According to Lily, there was a dispute over toys with her cousins last night." The doctor began explaining quietly. At first, it seems it was normal children's quarreling, but a boy named Ethan became aggressive and pushed her down. A girl named Grace joined in, and together they held Lily down. The doctor continued, choosing her words. "They pinched and scratched her, while saying things like, 'Your mum is a failure, and it's sad you don't have a daddy.'" Tears welled in Emily's eyes. "That's terrible. Even more shocking, Doctor," Hayes continued in a heavy tone. "Your sister Rachel apparently witnessed this bullying but didn't stop it. Instead, she blamed Lily, saying, 'This wouldn't have happened if you had been quiet.'" Emily was shaking. Her body felt ice-cold with anger and the fear running down her spine. The doctor hesitated for a moment, then continued. "When Ethan took her stuffed animal and began cutting it with scissors, Lily tried to get it back, and in the process, the scissors apparently caught her back. Whether it was intentional or not, I can't say. Intentional or not, that's abuse." Emily's voice trembled. "Why didn't my parents stop it?" "They were apparently in another room," Dr. Hayes answered. "And what concerns me most is that Rachel told Lily, 'If you talk about this, your mom will be even sadder,' essentially silencing her." Something broke inside Emily. She couldn't suppress the sob that rose from the back of her throat. "My daughter endured this alone." Dr. Hayes placed her hand over Emily's. "Miss Carter, you've done nothing wrong. You're being there for your daughter now." Emily wiped her tears and raised her face. "What should I do now?" "I'll contact Child Protective Services," the doctor said firmly. "A social worker will make a home visit and assess the situation. We'll submit a detailed report." "And my family? That's your decision," the doctor said, cautiously. "But this isn't just bullying. It's serious abuse. Action is needed to protect your child." Emily took a deep breath and closed her eyes. The doctor's words resonated within her. Action to protect your child. That was her most basic responsibility as a mother. "I want to see Lily," she said resolutely. When she entered the playroom, Lily was drawing at a small table. As Emily approached, the girl looked up, and in her eyes was fear, but also a slight glimmer of hope. "Mommy." It was the first word she had spoken since morning. Emily knelt before her daughter and carefully embraced her. "Honey, thank you for telling everything. You were brave. Are you angry?" Lily's voice was thin. "I'm not angry at you at all." Emily looked into her daughter's eyes and said seriously, "I'm angry at the people who hurt you. Mommy is always on your side. I'll protect you. I promise." Lily's small body trembled in her mother's arms, and finally, she began to cry aloud. It was a cry that mixed fear, sadness, and relief. "Will this be enough?" Emily stared at the photos and documents spread across the kitchen table. Olivia Bennett, a social worker dispatched from Child Protective Services, was carefully organizing the paperwork. "It's sufficient." Olivia looked at Emily with kindness while maintaining her professional composure. "Dr. Hayes's diagnosis, photographic evidence, and Lily's testimony record these are very clear." Immediately after returning from the hospital, Emily had left Lily with her trusted friend Anna. Anna had been a constant support since her divorce. Lily was playing with Anna's daughter Sophie, spending time in a safe environment. "What's the next step?" Emily asked, feigning calmness, though anger continued to burn inside her. She was trying to suppress her emotions. in front of the professional and proceed logically. First, we'll initiate a formal investigation, Olivia explained. Your child's safety is the top priority. We'll also interview the alleged perpetrators. I intend to confront my family, Emily said determinedly. Olivia raised an eyebrow. Before you do that, I recommend seeking legal advice. If you become too emotional, how can I not be emotional? Emily's voice rose slightly. But don't worry, I'll just present the evidence and hold them accountable. After thinking for a while, Olivia nodded. I understand. However, I don't recommend going alone. I've asked a lawyer friend to accompany me, Emily replied. Tomorrow afternoon, I'll confront them at my parents' house. The next afternoon, Emily stood in front of her parents' house with her friend and lawyer, David Thompson, ready. David placed his hand on her shoulder. Emily took a deep breath. Yes, let's go. James opened the door. His face looked tired, and his expression clouded upon seeing Emily. Emily, Dad, we need to talk, Emily said calmly. Call Mom and Rachel too. When they entered the living room, Margaret was already sitting on the sofa. She frowned upon seeing Emily and David. Bringing a lawyer seems excessive. Call Rachel, Emily said, ignoring her mother's sarcasm. 15 minutes later, Rachel arrived. She was clearly irritated and began complaining as soon as she entered the room. What's this about? Calling me so suddenly? I had to leave the children with a sitter. Sit down. Emily's voice was ice cold. When everyone was gathered, Emily placed an envelope on the table. These are Dr. Hayes' diagnosis and photos of the injuries on Lily's body. She took out the photos and spread them on the table. Bruises on her back and arms, and a cut on her back. According to the doctor, these are not accidental, but the result of deliberate violence. The color drained from Margaret and James's faces. Rachel crossed her arms, feigning indifference. Lily told us everything, Emily continued. Your children, Ethan and Grace, held her down, took her stuffed animal, and hurt her. And Rachel, you saw it, but not only did you not stop it, you blamed Lily and told her to keep quiet. That's ridiculous. Rachel raised her voice, exaggerating. Children's quarrels. Be quiet. Emily's angry voice echoed through the room. This is not a quarrel. It's abuse. Child Protective Services shares this view. James picked up the photos with trembling hands. I didn't know. His voice was shaking. I heard commotion upstairs. But, did you try to stop it? Emily stared at her father. James silently shook his head. Heather said it's just kids being kids. Don't shift blame, Rachel shouted at her father. You're just as guilty. Yes, everyone bears responsibility, Emily said calmly. But Rachel, what I can't forgive most is that not only did you fail to stop your children's behavior, you told Lily to keep quiet. For a moment, something like guilt flashed across Rachel's face, but it quickly returned to a defensive expression. You're always perfect, successful in both career and parenting, even after divorce. I'm desperate every day. No one understands my struggles. Those words hung heavily in the room. That's no reason for Lily to be victimized, Emily said firmly. I'm prepared to take legal measures for Lily's safety. Margaret began to cry. Surely you're not going to sue your own family? No, not a lawsuit. David began the legal explanation. A formal investigation by Child Protective Services and restricted contact under supervision. Also, counseling will be necessary for Rachel and her children, so you won't let us see her anymore? Margaret's voice mixed anger and sadness. Lily's safety and well-being are the top priority. Emily stood up and placed both hands on the table. Family is supposed to protect each other. You not only failed to protect Lily, you hurt her. I cannot forgive this. She took a deep breath and continued. From now on, Lily and I will be keeping our distance for a while. And Rachel, your children should also receive professional counseling. Such violent behavior must have a cause somewhere. Rachel fell silent, appearing truly disturbed for the first time. I know excuses. Lily interrupted her. I will do what's necessary to protect Lily, even if you are family. Emily and David stood up, preparing to leave the room. As they headed toward the door, Emily turned back. True family isn't just about blood ties. It's about trust, respect, and love. Someday, if you understand that and truly show remorse, there may be room for discussion again. But for now, protecting Lily is my only responsibility. After she left, a heavy silence remained in the house. 6 months later, on a Saturday morning, Emily's apartment was bathed in sunlight. The sweet scent of pancakes wafted from the kitchen, and Lily's laughter echoed from the living room. "Mom, look, I finished it." Lily proudly held up a drawing spread out on the table. It showed colorful people. "This is a picture of my new family." Emily smiled as she approached while plating pancakes. The drawing was titled "My Chosen Family" and depicted Lily and Emily, her friend Anna and her daughter Sophie, and Lily's therapist, Clara. "It's a beautiful drawing." Emily gently stroked her daughter's hair. Since that day, their lives had changed dramatically. The first few weeks were difficult. Lily was plagued by nightmares, and Emily was tossed by waves of guilt and anger. But with twice-weekly therapy sessions and the help of a newly found support group for families overcoming trauma, they had begun to walk the path of healing, step by step. "We're going to the beach with Sophie this afternoon, right?" Lily asked with a mouthful of pancakes. Her voice and expression had regained their former vibrancy. "Yes, Anna will pick us up," Emily answered. "But before that, there's something I want to talk about." "What?" Lily looked up at her mother with curious eyes. "Grandpa sent a letter," Emily said carefully. "He wants to see you." Lily's expression clouded. "I'm scared." "I won't force you." Emily held her daughter's hand. "But Grandpa seems to be truly remorseful. He's been going to therapy for the past 6 months. After the incident, James had begun to reconsider his relationship with Margaret. Having followed his wife's domineering attitude for years, he had finally found his voice and decided to participate in family therapy. His letter contained an apology to his granddaughter and a wish to see her someday if she could forgive him. "I'll think about it," Lily answered quietly. Meanwhile, there was no sign of reconciliation with Rachel. She had accepted the legal measures and was ordered to perform community service and undergo mandatory counseling. Her custody of the children was under review, and her relationship with her husband had deteriorated. Emily occasionally received progress reports on her from Child Protective Services, but understood that real change would take a long time. "Today is a special day," Emily changed the subject. "A day to celebrate our new beginning." In fact, today Emily had just finalized the contract for a new apartment. It was in a better school district, a quiet environment suitable for Lily's recovery, and she herself had started working smoothly at a new workplace. "Cheers." Lily raised her glass of orange juice. Emily joined with her coffee cup. "To our new beginning." The sunlight streaming through the window wrapped them in warmth. Not all the pain of the past had disappeared. There would still be difficulties to overcome, but Emily knew that true strength isn't about avoiding hardships but facing them, and true family isn't formed by blood ties, but by protecting, respecting, and loving each other. Her decision had been a harsh one, but it was the greatest expression of love for her daughter, and now that decision was beginning to bring new light to them. Watching Lily's smile, Emily whispered in her heart, "This is true love."